Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about authenticity, what it is, what it means, and how you can connect with your authentic self to live a life of personal liberation. And why I say personal liberation is because when we are being authentic, then we are freeing ourselves from the need to be someone else or the need to put ourselves out for other people or based on our false beliefs that we have within our unconscious self, which I'm going to address all of this in this video. So let's get started. First of all, what does it mean to be authentic? Authenticity is the quality of being genuine, true to your own personality, your values, and your spirit. When we have had difficult lives, especially being influenced by society, by family, by our peers, we can often lose our authenticity. We can often take a path that may not be our own. And it takes a long time to return to authenticity, to who we truly are, what we value, our true soul's essence, what we believe in our heart of hearts. And when we are not valuing our authenticity, when we are making decisions unconsciously based on maybe past patterns or based on fear or based on what other people may need or what we feel like we need to do based on the influences of society, we will feel depressed, we will feel out of alignment, and we will make ourselves sick. This is where we can get very frustrated with our lives. This is where we can feel in fear of choosing something that we feel is right for us, although it may not fit within other people's standards or requirements of ourselves. We may also feel discouraged or angry because deep down in our deeper self, we are suppressing our full potential. We may be suppressing our voice. We may be suppressing what we desire, stuffing our creativity deep within our unconscious or deep within our shadow. The deeper work within the unconscious takes quite a lot of understanding, a lot of patience, and a lot of focus to really connect with who we truly are. And at the source of it all, within our soul, within our heart, is our authentic self. But unfortunately, through life difficulties, it has been suppressed. It has been suppressed, it has been dormant, it has been shoved down in favor of maybe protection, being safe in our environment, making ourselves safe. Maybe even appeasing others, maybe having felt responsibilities to carry the responsibilities of our family or of life, and also losing ourselves in the process. I remember years ago, for example, being in a relationship that was not in alignment, but I didn't know who I was. I was making decisions based on what I thought was right, but even though deep down, didn't actually feel right. And because my authenticity had been shoved very down, I had a very hard time connecting with or even understanding what authenticity was. I remember seeing a psychologist at that time to gain an understanding of why I was so unhappy, why there were so many arguments in this relationship, why there was constant fighting and constant alcoholism in this relationship, because I wasn't happy and I couldn't see eye to eye with this person on a similar level or on a deeper level. But again, I was so removed from my authenticity. The psychologist helped me through this phase, but still I never knew what authenticity was. I never knew who my true self was. I never had the guidance or the opening into discovering my authentic self, or even what that meant or what that felt like. And my habit in the past had been almost adapting to other people or adapting to other situations while completely ignoring my needs and what felt right for me. And I feel that a lot of us can relate to this, adapting to other people, adapting to other situations, because we may not know who we truly are. We are moving along based on our false beliefs that have been ingrained since early life. And this whole process of returning to authenticity is returning to who we truly are on a soul level, on a fundamental personal level, based on our true beliefs, our values, and who we really are. And when we connect more with that, we become more confident in the choices that we make. We become clear about the decisions that we make or in the path that we take, and we become very confident in discerning. So examples of dismissing our authenticity would be pretending to like something that we don't. I'm sure we can all relate to this in some degree. going along with something or pretending that we are happy in a situation or that we are enjoying a situation, or even if we say yes to something and then as soon as we experience it or as soon as we're in it, then we all of a sudden might not enjoy it, or we might not be feeling in alignment. We may not also, with regards to other people, feel in alignment with other people when we say yes to certain things or situations. How you can tell if this is resonating with you, it may not feel right in your gut. It is as simple as that. It may not fit right and sit right within you on a deeper level. And the unfortunate aspect of this, or the unfortunate pattern that we can find ourselves in with this particular matter, is if we are used to feeling that within ourselves, meaning feeling uncomfortable or feeling a little bit of ick or that heaviness in our stomach or on our heart, if we're used to feeling that since early life, we will be used to operating that way. We will put ourselves in situations where we will constantly feel out of alignment and we will constantly feel uncomfortable in situations, but we won't know how to get out because we have been used to feeling that way. We will put ourselves in relationships, we will put ourselves in groups of friends, friendship groups, or we will say yes to things that don't necessarily feel right, but we'll go along with it because we are used to operating that way, and we are used to feeling and moving forward with that ick feeling within our body, within our heart, within our stomach, and we may dismiss it because we are used to feeling it. The next example of not being authentic is suppressing our feelings. This can apply to emotions such as anger, resentment, or sadness, and not feeling comfortable expressing it, instead opting for suppressing it. If we feel angry, if we are expressing our emotions, there may be part of us that feels that it is not acceptable to express our emotions or not to be vulnerable and open with how we are feeling. Therefore, we are not being true to ourselves and open with ourselves and open with others by expressing our authenticity, by expressing how we truly feel. And emotions and our senses are extremely valuable. This is a byproduct of society where we may feel that we are wrong if we are expressing ourselves. We may feel ashamed or guilty if we express ourselves, if we have a bout of anger or sadness, or if we tell someone something about ourselves that we may feel ashamed of, then we may carry guilt about how we express ourselves or what we have said. But we are human and we have feelings and we have emotions, and this is a way and a method of distilling our feelings and distilling the truth within ourselves. And the more we suppress our emotions and the more that we shove our emotions down and not share our emotions and our vulnerability, we are not allowing ourselves to be authentic and true to ourselves. The next example of not being authentic is changing our behavior to fit in. This one is basically adapting or adjusting our behavior to fit into certain situations. So this can apply to family, it can apply to social groups, it can apply to the workplace, where we are putting ourselves or where we are in certain environments where we may not feel comfortable, but we may act like how other people are acting. So we may adjust our behaviors to match those of others around us when it may not feel completely to be ourselves, or we may not actually feel like it is giving us comfort and alignment within. I also have to mention with this one, this is also a very strong byproduct of society, where there has been a lot of, I would say, unhealthy behaviors in society. This is part of the web that we are untangling from, where there are a lot of unhealthy and toxic and harmful behaviors that happen in society, and a lot of people do go along with it because they feel it is acceptable. And like attracts like, this is part of the collective shadow as well. Sometimes we lose ourselves in this aspect of the interweb of other people's behaviors because we feel it is not acceptable to be ourselves, or there may be fear around being ourselves or not being like everyone else around us. Therefore, we may not feel accepted, we may not feel worthy, we may not feel that we are even maybe valued for what we have to say or how we want to behave, that is not aligning with other people's behaviors or where they're coming from. And this divide is starting to expand. People are becoming now more and more confident with how they feel and what they stand for, and becoming more vocal with that. But we still have quite a ways to go, because this has been an ingrained aspect of our being. We are, again, very habitual creatures, and we adapt to certain behaviors externally and certain ways of being since, of course, early childhood. A lot of these behaviors and experiences deeply affect our unconscious self, thus impacting our behaviors and how we respond in our outer environments. The next example is going to be lying about our achievements. So lying about our achievements, comes from a place of not being authentic, wanting to try to fit in, wanting to build a certain persona in fear of being judged or rejected by our peers, by family, by society, etc. And this will definitely erode our self-worth on a deep level. This will cause depression, and it will, of course, affect our body when we are, all of these examples, not aligning with who we truly are and owning it and feeling comfortable with our flaws or with our levels of success or our struggles that we're going through. Because even those who have succeeded and who have created great accomplishments have struggled and have failed and have gone through the pitfalls in life and the challenges, just like everyone else. So by owning our story and owning our authenticity, we become more empowered with who we are, where we are in our life, and also it inspires others. So some of the symptoms, I've already mentioned some of them before, can be stress and anxiety, of course. Not being authentic will cause extra stress around social situations, not being good enough, not being acceptable enough, not fitting in enough, not saying the right things. And then when we are stressed about it, when there's a lot of fear about, again, not fitting in, not saying the right things, then we try so hard to fit in and to be perfect and to align and to say the right things. We completely lose ourselves. And like I said, this causes a very, very, very impactful result on our health and wellness. We may also develop things like low self-esteem, low confidence, because we are trying very hard to be like someone else. We build a persona that is very difficult to maintain over a long period of time. There can, of course, as I mentioned, be depression because of this, because we are not being true to ourselves. Therefore, we are building a persona in our outer self to fit in with others. That is not aligning and is not fitting with who we truly are, who we're meant to be, the path that we're meant to be on, and how we truly feel about ourselves on a deep level. So depression is basically when we need to start looking within and aligning with who we truly are and strengthening that relationship. There also, of course, can be relationship issues. So if we are not being authentic with who we are, we can tend to attract relationships that match the fear within ourselves or the shame within ourselves or the lack of confidence within ourselves. When we are authentic, then we attract those relationships that are going to be an equal match, and we will be able to be discerning. We will be able to say no or yes to things that we feel in alignment with. We will be able to be very clear with what is in alignment with us, with our values and our beliefs, etc. There can also be confusion with identity as a symptom as well. So again, as I mentioned back to my story, I had completely removed myself from my true authentic self, thus not really having a true identity. I tried very hard striving to be someone. I tried very hard to prove myself. I tried very hard to build a persona. But the more that I strived and I tried, I started becoming depressed and very sick within myself. Therefore, constantly putting myself in friendship circles, relationships, peer groups that did not feel comfortable for me, and I could not resonate with many people on a deeper level. And I really struggled with it, and I continually put myself in situations that I didn't feel comfortable in, that I didn't feel in alignment with, and I had a very hard time discerning. And the final symptom is going to be burnout. So the more that we try to be someone we're not, well, of course, we are going to have low energy. We are not going to have the passion and the creativity and the love for life and for experiencing all aspects. We are going to be burnt out from trying to build that persona or keep it up in some kind of form. So trying to always be on alert of being a certain way, being a certain person that isn't in alignment can be very exhausting. So examples of being authentic: expressing true feelings is going to be key. So being open with how we feel, being true, being real, not reading off a script, not thinking about what other people are going to think and if they're going to judge or criticize, being real, taking down the mask and showing your true self. Expressing your emotions, expressing your heart, expressing your fears, being real with yourself. The next one is going to be living according to your values. The results are going to lead to fulfillment and satisfaction in all areas of life. And you are going to be more empowered with making decisions, saying yes to what you enjoy, saying no to what you do not want to partake in. The next is going to be accepting yourself, loving your body, loving your talents, loving your voice. I remember years ago, I could not stand my voice. And now I actually think it's okay. I think I'm doing all right over here. I've learned to accept it regardless. This also does increase our self-esteem. It does increase our self-confidence, and it does allow us to show up more. The next example of being authentic is setting boundaries, which is very important. Learning when to say no. If you do not feel comfortable with something in your gut, in your body, in your heart, and you may feel conflicted, there's going to be a shadow aspect in there to address. As far as if you don't show up for someone, if you aren't pleasing someone, if you're not helping someone, probably a family member or a close relationship, then you may carry guilt because of saying no. So if you say no and you're carrying guilt, then there's going to have to be deep shadow work involved, understanding the fears and the patterns of those feelings and associations, knowing that when you set boundaries based on how you truly feel, there's going to be probably a feeling in your gut. You might feel like a bit as if you're not doing something right, as if maybe you're doing something wrong, but deep down you know you should be giving yourself some space, you should be setting boundaries, you should maybe not associate with certain people, or you should keep certain people at an arm's length. When you know that in your heart, that you feel that's the right thing to do for yourself, that's the healthiest thing to do for yourself, but there's maybe guilt associated with it, that is going to, again, come from a deeper unconscious place, a pattern that has been developed since early life. These patterns are very strong and they can feel very real. The discernment is going to come from your connectedness with your heart. Remember, your intuition is very, very strong. Unfortunately, during life difficulties, we can suppress our senses, we can suppress our intuition, and we can suppress the relationship with our unconscious self. And this whole exercise is to return to the connectedness within ourself, within our unconscious, within our senses, and of course with our intuition. And when we connect with the knowing of creating distance and creating space and saying no to something potentially, but there's a feeling of guilt or what if, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, then that is going to come from the shadow, that is going to come from the unconscious self, which can be healed and can be worked on. The whole exercise of this is a process of unraveling from our unconscious beliefs, our false beliefs, I should say, the patterns that have been formed since early life, so we can set ourselves free and become more authentic. And when we are authentic, we are aligned and we are more empowered, we are more confident, and therefore we are able to show up more. We create greater change within the world and we feel better about ourselves. The next one is going to be pursuing general interests. So listening to your heart and doing what you love, not what other people expect of you, not falling into peer groups or activities that may not feel completely comfortable for you. Do what you love to do and do not worry about if it is going to be acceptable or not. Follow your heart and listen to your heart and create and enjoy and love. This is a time to break patterns of societal norms and impositions. And the final one is going to be build trust. So aligning with your authenticity, one of the exercises can be to build trust. What does trust feel like with you? I've talked about trust before in other videos. I do feel that trust is one of the greatest aspects that we can easily and over time lose connection with. And trust, it can come from a deep, deep place within our unconscious. So if we've lost trust with the universe, if we've lost trust with ourselves, or if we've lost trust with others, it will pull us away from being authentic. When we start to arrive in a place of authenticity and balance, we will regain trust within ourselves and with life itself. Okay, so the outcomes, the benefits of being authentic, honoring ourselves, and cultivating a relationship with our soul, with our true being, with what is important for us. Of course, improved well-being, mental health, state of being, and also accessing greater levels of consciousness. So this will result in being more aware, more conscious, more tuned in, and more aligned. This will, of course, help cultivate meaningful relationships, greater trust, aligning with people who you resonate with, and vice versa, feeling confident in certain relationships, and deepening the connection with others around you. Like I said, this is going to also allow us to develop greater self-confidence, greater self-esteem, greater sense of worth, and put us on path for what we are meant to do, what we are designed to do, what we love to do, what we are destined to do. Now, the next one is going to be very important, and it is healing our body. So when we are in alignment with our authentic, our true self, we get to heal our body. And this is very advanced, understanding our relationship with our unconscious and our body. Remember, everything is connected. When we release energy that we are holding on to, trying to prove ourselves, trying to be someone, trying to show up a certain way, being in groups or in a relationship that isn't in alignment with who we are holding on to energy, right? It becomes very dense and dormant within ourselves, within our psyche. When we start to release from it and become more authentic, our energy flows more, our body does heal. We do heal our body when we become more authentic. And that takes a bit of a process to understand. This is a deep, deep practice of advanced healing. When you are able to access your unconscious to heal your body, you are going to become more authentic. And the last one is going to be lessening those good old triggers, those emotional triggers, those reactions to situations. When we are out of alignment, we will respond to life in very triggered ways. So anger, emotional outbursts, sadness, because we are not living authentically. We are not aligned. We are not doing what we are meant to be. We are not in a relationship that is in alignment with our authentic self, or maybe even family or other peer groups. When we become more aligned, when we honor ourselves, when we discover who we truly are, then we lessen those trigger responses. We become more whole. We see life in a new perspective. We become more conscious. We become more aware. The benefits are endless, of course, but we also lessen those triggers because we understand life more. We understand ourselves more, and we are in more peace and alignment within our deeper self. As you can tell, the benefits are endless. The most important takeaway from this video is to listen to your heart, listen to your gut, listen to your body, how it reacts. If there is a place of ick or uncomfortableness, that is where maybe some shadow work needs to be acknowledged, or maybe understanding patterns within self, or where the true root origin is coming from, so that you can set yourself free and align more and more and more with who you truly are, what you value, what you are meant to do, what you desire to do, what lights you up unapologetically. So I hope this video offered additional guidance on your path forward, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.